The full horror of the Delhi hit and run case in which a 20-year-old woman, Anjali Singh, was hit by a car being driven by drunken men, her body then dragged under the car for over 10 kilometers, is still unfolding. I'm Barkha, you're with the Mojo story, and the details that we know are absolutely bone chilling. The autopsy has revealed some shocking details. We now know, according to the post mortem, that the brain matter of Anjali, all of 20 years old, went missing as her head literally got caught in the underbelly of the car that dragged her, as I said, for over 10 kilometers. We also know that she suffered 40 injuries. 40 injuries. Her ribs were exposed, her spine was broken, and effectively she was left to die alone. New CCTV footage has revealed that there was a friend with her, Nidhi, but Nidhi's testimonies have in fact sought in some ways to blame both the men and Anjali. Is this character assassination and victim shaming? The macabre twists and turns of this case, as I said, are extremely disturbing. This has happened in the national capital, but it concerns women everywhere as we ask, how safe are India's cities for our women? And what about the delayed response from the police? Eyewitnesses have told Mojo story the police was alerted but took their own time in even reacting. Let's introduce our guests on the program today as we continue to look at the horror that literally sends shivers down your spine. From the BJP, we are joined by its leader and spokeswoman, Richa Pandey. It's good to see you, Richa ji. Also joining us is Elsa Marie de Silva. Elsa has done some seminal work on making India's cities safer, even designing an app that actually helps use technology to empower women. And we'll find out more from her in a moment. Also joining us is veteran IPS officer, former Director General of Police, Mr. A.K. Jain. It's good to see you, Mr. Jain. And Zainab Sikandar, who's an author and journalist, is with us as well. Akshay Marathi of the Aam Aadmi Party will be with us in a moment from now. So let me actually start with the really strange twists and turns that have taken place in this case. We now have new CCTV footage that shows the friend of Anjali, Nidhi. She was not actually alone. Nidhi was at the back of the scooter. We have those pictures if we can play them, and you will see in those pictures that there was another person with her. She was also injured, but instead of staying there, helping her, calling the police, she actually just left in fear. And since then, she has given a series of statements. Among them, she has actually alleged that her friend was drunk and insisted on driving the scooter. This is something that has been seized upon, of course, by other commentators saying, well, maybe she too was to blame. So a kind of character assassination, a kind of victim blaming has unfortunately started. Let me play out before we get first comments from our panel what this friend Nidhi had to say to the media.
गाड़ी आ रही थी प्लानो है तो गाड़ी हम लड़की आगे गिरी, मैं साइड में गिर गई, फिर टक्कर हो गई, वो गाड़ी के नीचे घुस गई। हाँ, लड़कों को पता था कि भाईजान उनके नीचे एक लड़की है। लड़कों ने जानबूझ के इस मौत को अंजाम दिया। उनको पता था, लड़की नीचे से चिल्ला रही थी, मैं होपलेस हो गई थी बहुत ज्यादा, इसलिए मैं घर में चली गई। मैंने किसी को डर के मारे नहीं बताया, मैं किसको बताती, मैंने किसी को नहीं बताया। मैं घर पे चली गई डर के मारे। मैं घर पे जाने के बाद मैं बहुत रोई। उसको ब्लैनो गाड़ी 2 बार आगे लेके गई, 2 बार पीछे लेके, फिर आगे लेके, फिर स्पीड में उसे खींचती हुई अपनी उसके नीचे उसके कुछ अटक गया था। वो किसी चीज में अटक गई थी नीचे गाड़ी के। अटकने के बाद वो आगे गई, पीछे गई, आगे गई, फिर उसे गाड़ी बिल्कुल आगे घसीट के ले गई। फिर उसे घसीटते वो छुट्टी नहीं होगी, उसे घसीटते बिल्कुल आगे ले।
So she says कि मैं डर के मारे मैंने किसी को कुछ नहीं बोला, मैं किसी को क्या बोलती, and she has subsequently literally locked herself up in her home. She's refusing to meet any more journalists. But let me get first responses from you, Richa. आपसे शुरू करती हूँ. Do you agree कि पुलिस की तरफ से गलती हुई in not responding, in delaying the FIR? A local BJP functionary, Manoj Mittal, was one of the 5 accused. ये भी कहा जा रहा है that maybe the delay was because he was locally at a local level a powerful man. Richa, as a woman first and not as a politician, आप क्या कहेंगी?
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बरखा जी, एज अ वुमन एंड एज अ पॉलिटिशियन, आई एम अ पॉलिटिशियन जिसकी करनी और कथनी में कोई फर्क नहीं है, इसलिए मैं जो बोल रही हूँ वो एज अ वुमन भी बोल रही हूँ और एज अ पॉलिटिशियन भी बोल रही हूँ। और मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि जो भी हुआ है वो इतना दर्दनाक है कि ये सबको रोंगटे खड़े कर देने वाला है। और वो लड़की कौन थी, वो लड़की किस अवस्था में थी, उस इससे मैटर नहीं करता है। मैटर ये करता है कि इतनी दर्दनाक मौत हमारे सामने हुई है, दिल्ली के लोगों को इतनी सुबह सुबह इतनी शर्मनाक हैवानियत वाला एक किस्सा देखने को मिला है। ये सबका दिल इस वक्त रो रहा है, दिल्ली के लोग ही नहीं, देश के लोग और दुनिया स्तब्ध है आज कि किस प्रकार हैवानियत के चलते इस तरह किसी भी इंसान को मारा गया है। दूसरी बात यह है कि राजनीतिक पार्टी, चाहे कोई भी व्यक्ति हो, किसी भी राजनीतिक पार्टी से हो, चाहे वो भाजपा का हो, वो आम आदमी पार्टी का हो, वो कांग्रेस का हो, वो XYZ का हो, उस व्यक्ति ने अगर इस प्रकार ये किया है तो उसको फांसी की सजा मिलेगी, बड़ी से बड़ी सजा मिलेगी, कोई रोक नहीं सकता है। तीसरी बात है दिल्ली पुलिस की बात आपने पूछी। इतना 16,000 पुलिसकर्मी नए साल पे लगाए गए थे, 1,000 ट्रैफिक पुलिसकर्मी लगाए गए थे, उसके बाद भी इतनी बड़ी वारदात हुई कि पुलिस की 3-3 पिकेट्स बताया जा रहा है कि वहां पर थी पर किसी ने देखा नहीं। अगर इस तरह की लापरवाही जो हम देख रहे हैं हो रही है, जैसा आपने आपके शो में पूछा है कि विल द हेड्स रोल, यस द हेड्स विल रोल एंड दे शुड रोल, एंड इफ दे विल नॉट रोल वी ऑल विल एंश्योर दैट दे रोल। क्योंकि ऐसे नहीं चलेगा कि इतने लंबे लंबे स्ट्रेच पे आप देखिए पिच डार्क रोड्स थी, कहाँ गई लाइटें, कहाँ गई CCTV। मैं किसी भी राजनीति की तरफ पॉइंट नहीं कर रही हूँ, परंतु मैं कह रही हूँ कि किसी भी के लिए, आपके लिए, मेरे लिए, या आम आदमी पार्टी के लिए, या कांग्रेस के लिए, किसी के भी लिए, किसी से इंसान के लिए इस प्रकार की दर्दनाक मौत भगवान किसी को ना दे। और हम सबके दिल्ली शहर में ऐसा फिर से हुआ है, ये बहुत ही दुख की बात है। और लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर और CM ऑफ दिल्ली और रिपोर्ट अमित शाह जी के ऑफिस में भी रियल टाइम बेसिस पे मांगी जा रही है, इस पे कार्रवाई हो रही है और किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा, किसी को भी नहीं बख्शा जाएगा। और ये जो कहा जा रहा है कि भाजपा के लोग इसमें इन्वॉल्व है, अगर भाजपा का कोई है तो सबसे पहले उस पर एक्शन होगा।
जी
तो ये जिम्मेदारी नैतिक ही बनती है और ये जिम्मेदारी हम सबकी बनती है कि ये इस पे एक्शन हो।
जी एंड आई हैव टू एक्चुअली थैंक यू, क्योंकि आपने एक जो एक पोजीशन ली है वो बिल्कुल एक अनइक्विवोकल कॉन्डमनेशन की ली है। और आपने ये भी बोला है कि चाहे वो भाजपा का हो, चाहे वो किसी और दल का हो, the man and the men in this case will get the punishment that they deserve. Now I can see Akshay Marathi of the Aam Aadmi Party also joining us. If we can now come out of these pictures and go to back to our panel and continue our conversation there. I can see Akshay. Akshay, we were discussing this yesterday as well. And Abhi Richa Pandey of the BJP has said, चाहे मनोज मित्तल बीजेपी का हो, चाहे किसी और दल का हो, अगर फांसी लगनी चाहिए तो फांसी लगेगी. Whatever needs to be done will be done. But you know, speaking as a woman, and I think I speak for everybody in this country, women do not want to see political parties squabbling right now. We want solutions. We don't want an incident like this to happen every winter, literally in the life of this country, and have the same debate कि उस जगह पे CCTV कैमरा क्यों नहीं लगा, उस सड़क पे स्ट्रीट लाइट्स क्यों नहीं थी, पुलिस ने क्यों नहीं टाइम से FIR दर्ज किया. It's like we repeat the same cycle over and over and over again. Akshay, what are we learning from this? What is your party promising to do to, for example, fix the cameras that weren't working, that would have established a lot, and a lot of critical evidence has been lost? Akshay.
Barkha, I think a false equivalence is being drawn between the role of the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. I think it needs to be highlighted that we are actually talking about this case today only because we have the footage from the CCTV cameras that the Delhi government has installed in Delhi. If you're looking at all the TV channels today and there is outrage in the country, it is only because we have a visual of the horrid nature of the crime that was committed by the local BJP leader Manoj Mittal and his colleagues and his co-accused. So to say that there are no CCTV cameras or there is some lapse on that part is, I think, besides the point. There may be.
I mean, you know that the actual point of collision, that camera did not work. We do not have that footage.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, Barkha, that this is a separate matter and we can have a separate debate on it. But the question is, Why is it that Delhi continues to see these kinds of crimes? And the only answer that one can come up with, and I can only speculate at this point, is that there is no fear of law. If you're a criminal in Delhi today, you know that the Delhi police is compromised, you know that the law and order situation is completely corrupt, and you can get away with any and every crime without facing the consequences of the law. And why is the Aam Aadmi Party, pointing fingers at the BJP along with the Delhi police? Because as a democracy, we elect politicians to actually govern the areas of governance that the constitution has given to them. So in the case of Delhi, the law and order situation is directly governed by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So if there is a continuing crisis of law and order in the city, isn't it our responsibility, not just as Aam Aadmi Party, as residents of Delhi, as people who love Delhi, to ask questions of our elected
Okay,
representatives?
before I open this up, I'll allow Richa a chance to respond to that. And as I think I speak for all women, at least, that I know of, who do not want to see the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP having a quarrel right now, because women are not interested in this quarrel. हम देख चुके हैं कि राजनीतिक दल जो है वो लड़ते हैं, औरतों के लिए कुछ बदलता नहीं है, बस वो लड़ते ही रह जाते हैं, हेडलाइंस आती हैं जाती हैं, एक और हादसा होता है, एक और साल बीतता है, and we're back to square one. लेकिन रिचा अक्षय ने कुछ पॉइंट्स उठाए, he's raised some points. I must allow you a right of response. Go ahead, Richa.
जी, थैंक यू बरखा जी. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वांट टू से कि आम आदमी पार्टी इस पूरे मुद्दे को बार बार वो शुरुआत से यही कह रहे हैं और बार बार अभी भी यही कह रहे हैं कि एलजी इस्तीफा दें, क्योंकि एक दुर्घटना इस प्रकार की बहुत बड़ी हो गई है, एलजी के अंदर दिल्ली पुलिस आती है, एलजी इस्तीफा दें. क्या आम आदमी पार्टी इस बात को मंजूर करेगी कि 36 लोगों की दिल्ली में ठंड से मौत हो गई है? डूसुब किसके अंडर आता है? आम आदमी पार्टी के मुखिया अरविंद केजरीवाल, क्या वो इस्तीफा दे रहे हैं? इस तरह की बेतुकी बातें करना और अपने जो फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, क्योंकि जो आप कह रहे हैं ना, नो फियर ऑफ लॉ, नो फियर ऑफ लॉ उसको होता है जो रेपिस्ट से मसाज करवाता है तिहाड़ जेल में, उसको होता है नो फियर ऑफ लॉ. तो आप लोग क्या इस्तीफा दे रहे हैं खुद? और सेकंड, मतलब आप लोगों को फियर ऑफ लॉ नहीं है, इसलिए आप इस इतनी संवेदनशील चीज को, इतने संवेदनशील मुद्दे को आप उस पे अपनी राजनीतिक रोटियां सेक रहे हैं. क्या ये काफी नहीं था कि निर्भया केस पे आपने राजनीतिक रोटियां सेक के 70 पॉइंट एजेंडा में 36 पॉइंट्स आपने महिलाओं के लिए बताए और उसमें से एक भी काम नहीं किया? आपने लंदन बना दिया क्या? रियलिटी से दूर है आप. और अक्षय मराठी जी, भाई साहब, आप थोड़ा सा जमीन पे उतरिए और देखिए कि लड़कियों की और महिलाओं की क्या स्थिति है. आज आम आदमी पार्टी में अगर लड़कियों की, महिलाओं की स्थिति अच्छी होती तो आपकी जगह आपकी महिला प्रदेश अध्यक्ष बैठी होती या कोई महिला एमएलए या पार्षद बैठी होती. अरे आपके पास लोग नहीं है, तो इस प्रकार की बातें ना करें. आप एलजी का इस्तीफा मांग रहे हैं चिल्ला चिल्ला के.
सिर्फ लास्ट पॉइंट पे मैं बोलूंगी,
के बारे में सोचिए, उस लड़की के बारे में, उस महिला के परिवार के बारे में सोचिए, उसके साथ खड़े हुए.
रिचा बाकी पॉइंट्स पे अक्षय खुद जवाब देंगे. सिर्फ लास्ट पॉइंट पे मैं बोलूंगी that we would like more men to join this conversation. We would like more men to also speak about what happens to women. Akshay, I'm going to ask you to hold your responses, because otherwise this will become a BJP versus Aam Aadmi Party show. It is much larger than that. It concerns women all over the country. It concerns the role and the response of the police in particular. But before I come to Mr. Jain, I'd just like to play out what a witness said to Mojo Story when he said he saw this body being dragged under the car. He tried to go to the police chowki. He tried to alert two policemen on a motorcycle, but nobody responded. Listen in.
मैं कंजावला रोड से आ रहा था और अगरसैन वाले रोड की तरफ जाना था मुझे, तो वहाँ से वो गाड़ी आई, मेरी बाइक उनसे टकराने से बच गई. जब उनसे टकराने से मेरी बाइक लड़खड़ा गई थी थोड़ी, मैंने अपनी बाइक जैसी बैलेंस में करी तो गाड़ी जब तक रोहिणी की तरफ मुड़ गई थी. 100 से 150 मीटर की दूरी पर पुलिस चौकी है, उन्होंने पुलिस चौकी को देखकर वापसी गाड़ी मोड़ ली कंजावला की तरफ. जब वो कंजावला की तरफ जाते हुए गए, जब मैंने उस लड़के का सर देखा था लिखा हुआ गाड़ी में, उस टाइम मैं थोड़ा शॉक हो गया था, समझ में नहीं आया था क्या करूँ. थोड़ा बिल्कुल ही आपा सा बाहर था, तो मैं अपने काम में लगा रहा, सोचता रहा. फिर मैंने ना जो चौकी पर थी वहाँ पर, उसी चौकी पे वहीं से मैं निकल रहा था, तो मैंने चौकी पे इन्फॉर्म करने की सोची, तो चौकी पे कोई था नहीं. फिर मैंने रास्ते में 2 पुलिस वाले बाइक पे जा रहे थे, अपाची बाइक थी, उन्हें बोला, उन्हें सारी वारदात बताई, तो उन्होंने मेरे से ये बात बोल दी थी कि आप ठीक हो. मगर हाँ, तो आप ठीक हो तो जाओ, बाकी हम देख लेंगे. उन्होंने ये बात बोल दी थी, मैं आ गया था. फिर मेरे को आज रात को 1:30 बजे मेरे यार दोस्तों के थ्रू पता चला कि ऐसे कांड हो गया.
So basically, this eyewitness. He sees this car. He sees the woman's Anjali's body, her head jutting out from under the car. He's paralyzed at first, Mr. Jain. He then goes to the chowki. He finds the chowki khali. He tries to wave down two policemen. They say, "Aap chalo, leave it to us." There have been other questions raised: the delay in the FIR, the initial comments by the police. How would you see the police response, Mr. Jain?
Police response has been miserable in my opinion. And it's a total failure of Delhi police. I consider it as the total failure of Delhi police. Delhi police should have been on the roads on 31st December night when it is well known that drunken driving is there. There are fights on the road at times. So one has to be very alert. Where was the local SHO? Where was the police of Sultanpuri police station? I have heard on several channels that it's a lonely area, it is not very well lit, and traffic is also minimal. So all the force was deployed at Connaught Place and other places. This argument is not acceptable. Yesterday, I was on a channel, so Mrs. Kiran Bedi was mentioning, which I was shocked, that PCR system has been dismantled in Delhi. And by dismantling, she means that all the PCR vans have been allotted to concerning police stations. They are not under one senior officer as in UP. In UP, I will explain that there is dial 112. There are more than 6,500 vehicles. All the calls, they land up at dial 112 headquarter at Lucknow. And from there, the concerning PCR van, which is closest to the scene of crime, is directed to reach there. In UP, in cities, we have reduced the response time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, and in rural areas, in far off areas, far flung areas, it is 12 minutes or 14 minutes or 15 minutes when they have to travel a lot of distance. So if PCRs, I have been told, I'm sure that she must be absolutely correct. That's why she was mentioning it on a channel that all PCR vans have been given to the police station to make up for the vacancies in the police force. So all those vehicles are at the mercy of SHOs. This is not done. This is not acceptable at all. There has to be a senior officer of ADG rank, Additional Director General Police rank, or
what to you, sir? What to you, sir, has been the biggest failing of the police?
Biggest failing is that PCR should have been there within 2-3 minutes. PCR was not there. Even if local police is involved somewhere in some incident or in patrolling in some crowded places, the PCR van should have been there within 2-3 minutes, and its response was pathetic. The response of local police station, local outposts, local nakas, local barriers, it was pathetic. So there has to be an introspection by senior officers of Delhi police that how to rectify it, because this is a very serious thing.
Yeah, and Richa has promised us that heads should roll and will roll and must roll. So let us see what happens. Let me get in Elsa. Elsa, you've actually done a lot of work looking at how safe our cities are. It's very important to point out that this is not a story about Delhi alone. This happens to women routinely, especially late at night. Our streets are not well lit. Our recourse for help is limited. Passerbys get scared. They don't help. Talk a little bit about how your research, your work on the Safe City app ties in with what you've seen here.
Thank you, Barkha, for this important conversation, and my condolences to Anjali and her family. So yes, it's not an India issue alone or a Delhi issue alone. Unfortunately, women are at the receiving end of violence disproportionately compared to men. And the statistics globally are 1 in 3 women around the world experience some form of sexual assault at least once in their lifetime. 10 days after the Nirbhaya incident, we launched Safe City 10 years ago because we realized there is a data gap. One is that women and girls are not, documenting their experiences. And when they even have the courage to go to the police station, often it's never really accepted in the right category of the complaint. which is a whole different issue in itself. So we thought that by crowdsourcing these stories and making it visible on a crowd map, that is Safe City, we can actually make people more aware of what's happening at their local level. And what is being reported on our application are various forms of violence, right from the non-verbal, verbal, physical, and the extreme physical forms like this particular incident. And it's so pervasive.
Yes, and can I ask you something? In this case, the postmortem tells us there was no sexual assault, but she was found without her clothes because her body was dragged for 10 kilometers. That's also not or kind of be naive to think that these men did not know that there was a body under their car. They would have known at the point that their car hit a scooter being driven by a woman that they'd hit somebody. And look at these things that we know from the autopsy. That her skull was crushed open, her brain matter is missing. She has suffered 40 injuries, her ribs were exposed. I mean, it is gruesome to read this, and I cannot believe that the men in the car did not know. Of course, they knew they hit a scooter. Of course, they knew that, and they did not stop. Of course, they knew there was a body under their car. How could they not have known?
Absolutely. And her friend actually said that they could hear her screaming initially. So, I mean, hitting a body is definitely, you're going to feel it if you're a driver of the car, you know. So, and when we crowd map violence, one of the things that we want to show is that violence is not an isolated incident or doesn't happen in a silo. It's a combination of a lot of incidents. So, for example, this particular case, how entitled are they that they can hit somebody and just continuously drive, not a few hundred meters, but over 10 kilometers, and nobody on the streets of Delhi. Okay, it's late at night, it's 31st, but only 2 people witnessed it and tried to call the police. What about all the other people who were there on the streets? So one is we need to talk about, okay, bystander intervention. So her friend Nidhi, why did she run away and not even bother to call the police? Second is the failure of the police system itself, you know, to accept a complaint. And the confidence in the system. As a woman, if these incidents continue to happen, then, you know, we won't want to step out of our homes. We won't want to go out and get a job. And Anjali is the only bread earner in her family. And we know that women's participation in the formal labor force in our country is declining year on year. And whilst one of the reasons is, you know, unpaid care work at home, the second one is the perception of it not being safe. You know, so it's a very serious problem.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've joined the dots between female labor force participation and safety on the streets, callousness of bystanders. I want to, before I go back to Akshay and Richa, get Zainab, because what is also disturbing me is the whispers that have begun. It began with a hotel owner talking about how he saw the 2 women drinking and then fighting. The way we will still judge women having a drink will be very different from how we will talk about men having a drink. Now, the same friend who did not even bother to stay there and call the police is talking about this woman who's dead, being drunk and insisting on driving. We'll never know her version. She's not there. There's a kind of victim shaming. It's going to come in waves. I'm pretty sure of it. Zainab, if you want to come in on that, just go ahead. You know, these kind of whispers that have begun about Anjali. There's one story, the breadwinner, the young brave woman who was going to donate her kidney. But the whispers, the other kind of whispers have also begun.
These whispers are so typical, and women have faced them from eons. I mean, the first thing that will be asked is to the victim. Why was she there? What is her background? What is her reputation? What is her character? In all of this, has anybody asked what the accused were doing? How drunk were they? What were they doing before this? Have they had a criminal record before this? Nobody has brought it up, but what the woman was doing, how much was she drinking? Where was she? What was her friend doing with her? What were the intentions of the friends? All those things. So blaming the women is so easy. They are the easy picks, after all. And this has happened every time, even with Nirbhaya. If we remember, everybody was questioning what was she doing with the boy so late at night. Why was she with a boyfriend? Why did she have a boyfriend? Nobody asked the character about those men, those beasts who did what they did with her. So this is very typical. This was expected. In fact, I would think society has really evolved with these questions, and whispers hadn't come up. And honestly, these are not whispers anymore. I mean, even at homes, it is the girls who are asked questions first. ladke hain, ye to sambhal lenge, but women are the girls are the one who are always questioned ki itne baje bahar mat jao. And come to think of it, when I was listening to the debate, I heard the BJP spokesperson, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, I listened to Sir. In all of this, I realized there's such a systemic failure when it comes to protecting women, and when it comes to keeping our cities safe. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a small brief outline of what happens with Delhi. Delhi is always a squabble between the party at the center, the party, ruling Delhi, and the LG. And God forbid, if we have different parties sitting in the center and the state, then it is always going to be political, no matter how much of a heinous crime happens. The state party will always blame the central party. The central party will always blame the state party. And the LG is sitting in the middle. I mean, it's become a joke now. Delhi and its security law order has become a joke, because every time it is about, but it comes under the home ministry, and then the home minister says, but your infrastructure is not good enough, and that's why we fail to do our job.
And that's what we're seeing this time as well.
Yes, absolutely. As far as the police is concerned, see, I have always been, for some reason, very sympathetic with the police force, because I always believe, they are understaffed and underpaid. Okay, now come to think of it, in Delhi, our population is about 3.3 crores, 3 crores something. And how many police personnel are there in Delhi police force? Around about 83,000. Out of that, 25% is allotted to VIPs. So how much is left for people? You can judge on your own. We hardly have any police personnel. And in this also, we are understaffed. We are about 21%. Delhi police is 21% understaffed. So how many people can one policeman serve? They are underslept, they are underpaid, they are not given enough perks. And then we say, oh, they are corrupt, oh, they are not listening, oh, they are apathetic.
Yeah.
But is the government creating circumstances and conditions for the police to work perfectly? So there is a systemic failure. You can't point fingers at one person. You can't point fingers at the home minister or the Aam Aadmi Party.
Systemic. But the problem is, Zainab, that every year, literally, I have lost track of how many such shows I've hosted, how many such stories I've reported. It is a sickening sense of deja vu. Akshay, let's bring you in before I come to Richa. Akshay, go ahead. Can we unmute Akshay, please?
I think we have a lot of occasions when we say, let's not politicize this, let's not get into a political fight. But Barkha, all policy is politics. All problems are political. All solutions are political. There is only one party which is responsible for law and order in Delhi. There are not two parties responsible for law and order. Let's understand that today. Let's not confuse ourselves in this kind of, speak where we are trying to have some kind of equivalence between two different political units, two different governments. Only one government runs the Delhi police, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party. So to say that Aam Aadmi Party and BJP both should take responsibility is actually running away from the problem. The problem lies at the policing.
The policing is at the BJP's doorstep. The CCTV cameras, the street lights, other infrastructure is at your doorstep. That's the truth.
No, absolutely. But are you really suggesting that this crime has happened because of a lack of CCTVs and street lights? It's happened because of a policing failure. And this is not the first time it's happened. Like, I want to remind viewers that when Nirbhaya happened, we weren't having a discussion about whether it's state or the center's responsibility, because there was only one party responsible at that time. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it was the Delhi police which was under the scanner. Who runs the Delhi police? Amit Shah runs the Delhi police. Who has Amit Shah appointed to run the Delhi police? It is LG and Mr. Saxena. Do you know what Mr. Saxena, who's been appointed by Amit Shah, what was he doing today the whole day? He was illegally appointing aldermen of the Bharatiya Janata Party to the MCD because there is a mayor election coming up. His only job, Barkha, is to govern the Delhi police and ensure that the Delhi police does its job. But this man is a political appointee and he does the bidding of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Should we not say these things? Should we hide from the reality? Should we close our eyes to how the BJP is treating the national capital of India? It's a shame. that we are letting the BJP get away with this kind of behavior. They're not democratically elected in Delhi. Delhi has given votes to the Aam Aadmi Party to secure women of Delhi and secure the
let
people
me
of Delhi.
let me bring in Richa here. Richa, let's think of the BJP then in opposition when the Congress was in Delhi during Nirbhaya. Would you not have criticized Sheila Dikshit? I remember that the party did. I remember all of us did because some of Sheila Dikshit's utterances were not sensitive. So I think the point Akshay is making is how do you escape the politics? The Lieutenant Governor called it opportunistic scavenging, what the Aam Aadmi Party is doing. But at the same time, you heard Mr. Jain. As a veteran IPS officer, he says the police response has been miserable. Right? You yourself in the beginning said heads will roll, heads must roll. How do you respond to the allegations from the Aam Aadmi Party that only the BJP and the Home Ministry is accountable because the police directly reports to the Home Minister?
Thank you, Barkha. So there are 2 points which I would like to make. First, that the party which came into power because of Nirbhaya case, I was associated with that party at that point of time. एंड आई विल नॉट शाई अवे इन सेइंग कि जिस पार्टी ने उस वक्त निर्भया केस को इतना एस्केलेट करके अपनी राजनीति को चमकाया, आज उनका प्रवक्ता डिबेट पे, नेशनल डिबेट पे आके आप जैसे इतनी सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट के सामने ये कहने की जरूरत कर रहा है कि ये सब कुछ एलजी का काम है, ये सब कुछ होम मिनिस्टर का काम है. अरे भाई, तो फिर सरकार की, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की कुछ तो जिम्मेदारी बनती है. आपका हो सकता है टेक्निकली उनका काम है, आज पूरे दिन एलजी ने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का काम किया है, वो अपना काम कर रहे हैं, वो कहीं पे 15 दिन की छुट्टी लेके मेडिटेशन करने नहीं गए हैं, वो अपना काम कर रहे हैं, तो उनको अपना काम करने दीजिए. इसलिए परेशान मत होइए कि वो क्यों एल्डरमैन अपॉइंट कर रहे हैं. अगर एल्डरमैन नहीं अपॉइंट करेंगे, मेयर नहीं बनेगा, मेयर नहीं बनेगा तो एक स्पाइरल डेवलपमेंट में ही दिक्कत होगी, फिर आप रोना रोएंगे. तो रोना मत रोइए, आप ये देखिए कि आप अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को श्रग मत कीजिए. दूसरी चीज ये है कि जिसकी आज ही एलजी ऑफिस से ये आए है बात कि अगर जहां जहां पर कोताही पाई गई है, पुलिस की हो या किसी भी सिस्टम में, उसको रेक्टिफाई भी किया जाएगा और उसको अकाउंटेबल भी होल्ड किया जाएगा. तो इतने सीनियर लेवल पे जब, और आपके सीएम कॉन्स्टेंटली एलजी से बात कर रहे हैं, एलजी कॉन्स्टेंटली अमित शाह जी से बात कर रहे हैं, सभी लोग मिलके काम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. आप मुद्दे को भटका के एलजी को कि रेजिग्नेशन की तरफ ले जा रहे हैं. रेजिग्नेशन मांगने से इस वक्त काम नहीं होगा. मान लीजिए वो रिजाइन कर देंगे, तो आप बताइए काम कैसे करेंगे?
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी,
काम कैसे चलेगा?
आपने अक्षय के लिए बात रखी,
बात कीजिए.
मेरा सवाल, आप आम आदमी पार्टी से आपका झगड़ा एक तरफ, मेरा आपसे सवाल है, डू यू थिंक हेड शुड रोल? आपको लगता है कि कुछ अकाउंटेबिलिटी इसी लेवल पे होनी चाहिए?
देखिए, मुझे ये विश्वास है कि हेड्स विल रोल. अगर क्योंकि ये जैसा अभी सभी ने बताया कि इतने टाइट सिक्योरिटी थी, 16,000 पुलिसकर्मी नए साल पे लगाए गए थे, 1,000 ट्रैफिक पुलिसकर्मी लगाए गए थे. ये जो एक बहुत ही डेजर्टेड स्ट्रेच है कंजावला वाला, वहां पर पिकेट खाली थी. तो अगर क्यों खाली थी, उसके पीछे रीजन पाया जाएगा. और अगर कॉल गई है तो कॉल क्यों नहीं अटेंड की गई है, कितनी बार कॉल गई, ये सब चीजें ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में है. ये सब चीजें डॉक्यूमेंट होंगी, रिपोर्ट बनेगी और उसके ऊपर एक्शन होगा, और हमेशा होता है. तो इस पे अगर हम एक्सीलरेटर दबा दें कि नहीं जी रिजाइन करिए, आप काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप हमारे केजरीवाल जी को तंग कर रहे हैं. केजरीवाल जी को तंग इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि केजरीवाल जी अपना काम नहीं करते हैं, पर दूसरे के काम करना चाहते हैं. तो और जितना उनको काम मिलता जा रहा है उससे संतुष्ट नहीं है. संतुष्ट रहिए और अपना काम कीजिए.
Okay, before we come back to the okay, briefly Akshay, then I have to go to Mr. Jain. Briefly Akshay.
I want to clarify, it's not just that there was a policing failure before the incident, it's what has happened since then. Today you saw the witness come out in strict police cordon saying things about the victim. On whose directions is the witness saying this? Have you ever seen a witness in a case come out with police protection?
In this case you mean Nidhi? You mean Nidhi the friend?
Yes, of course. Why is it that the police is parading Nidhi and asking her to say things like that she was drunk? The police's role is extremely suspect, Barkha. We can't let them go scot-free. And the police is continually reporting to the Home Ministry. That's why these questions are being asked. It's not It's not about previous policing. It's about what's been happening since the crime has occurred. The kind of behavior the police is showing right now is also terrible.
So unfortunately, we are never going to know. I don't. Maybe actually, the post-mortem, Mr. Jan, please correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't the autopsy have also looked at sort of alcohol content in the blood? Because otherwise, what's happening is there's a sweeping statement from the friend saying she was drunk, she was insisting on riding the scooter, and the problem with that is that suddenly questions will be asked, "Arey, who was really to blame?" Maybe she was to blame, maybe she did something. So ये पूरी conversation बदल सकती है इस point पर. So we have to be very careful about how we look at this issue of drunken driving. Did it take place at both ends? Akshay Marathi is suggesting the witness in this case has been tutored, may have been tutored. Mr. Jain, your thoughts?
It all depends on the viscera examination report. Viscera will be sent to Forensic Science Laboratory for examination, and from there the report shall come. Whether we raise it or not, but the Defense Counsel shall raise these issues in the court. But I think court will take a very stern view in the matter, and these people will be sentenced to at least 10 years under stringent provisions of Section 304, 120B of other sections of Motor Vehicle Act, and they should be sentenced. They shouldn't get bail. Very stern action should be taken against these people. They are first-rate criminals, in my opinion, and no sympathy should be shown to these people. Best possible lawyers should be engaged. And I would also like to say that all the vacancies of Delhi police, it's a national capital, and it's a shame if 21% vacancies exist in Delhi police. Delhi police, all the vacancies should be filled. In UP, we have recruited 1.5 lakh policemen in the last 5 years, and vacancies are being filled. Why can't it be done in Delhi? Why the PCR vents have been attached to the police stations? And the entire
do you believe heads should roll, Mr. Jain? Do you believe heads
yes,
should roll?
they will roll. They should roll in charges of outposts, police station, ACP of the area. Very stern action should be taken. In UP, had this incident happened, several senior officers also would have been placed under suspension.
Let me actually just underline that so far we have no mention of alcohol consumption in the autopsy report. But as Mr. Jain has said, there will be further. The viscera will be sent. The Defense Counsel will raise it. The waters will be muddied. Elsa, one of the myths you want to bust is this idea कि सिर्फ रात को अंधेरे में औरतों के साथ ऐसे होता है खाली सड़कों पर. Elsa, go ahead. This isn't about deserted streets that are dimly lit. This isn't about time of day. This crosses sort of times of day. In fact, you have some study that shows you that the peak hours in which these kind of hit and run cases happen are quite different from what we may imagine. Elsa?
Absolutely, Barkha. Sometimes I feel lighting is just an excuse to say there was no lighting or it was too dark, etc., to further curtail the movements of women. But our data on Safe City shows, which are, 100% personal accounts of people's experiences of being sexually harassed in public spaces mainly. The peak is between noon and 2 p.m. and the second peak is between 5 and 7 p.m. Now, when you analyze these peaks, these are the times of the day when women are normally out and about, maybe dropping their kids, marketing, or in between, chores. And if it's happening in broad daylight, then what is the role of the larger society around them? And it begs the question of what kind of a country are we promoting for women? Because clearly, all these socio-cultural norms kind of reinforce the idea that this is not a country for you. You're not supposed to step out late at the night. You're not supposed to go out. And it's showing up in various statistics like the participation in the labor force and the accountability. Where is the accountability? If you look at, we ask a question, have you reported to the police or will you report to the police? And more than 90% say no. To me, it's heartbreaking because in India, we have the laws, we have all the systems that are technically available to support women, against these crimes. But are we implementing these laws in the right manner? Are our judiciary, the police, and other institutions sensitive to the needs of women?
And
Definitely not.
something that strikes me, Zainab, as I'm listening to Elsa, is that while there was no evidence of sexual assault on the body, let us not basically underestimate. I grew up at a time when there would be men racing on scooters and motorcycles who would deliberately come and knock into you if you're a woman walking back home in the streets of my own neighborhood. I'm talking about Delhi, right? So in this case, we don't know if this was an accident. Possibly these men could have very consciously decided to target these two women that they saw on a scooter. This could very easily have been conscious sexual harassment on the streets of Delhi. Then they hit the scooter and they run. Maybe they didn't mean to kill this woman, but they could have been violating the space of Anjali and her friend on that scooter. Zena?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what, we should be looking at, that as a society, it's very easy for men to get away with harassing women, which is considered to be just fun. Very small example is when you're driving a car as a woman. There's so many times when you're being honked at from behind because they know it's a lady drive, a driven car, and we can like irritate. And this has happened to me so many times. While I'm driving, I've had people make gestures at me. When I was in college, all of 16, I'm walking on the street towards my car, and there are men in big cars sitting and rolling down the windows and heckling at you.
Yeah.
It's very normalized. It's considered
Yeah.
fun. I never reported it. I never even complained to my principal saying this is happening outside my college. And, so these are very normalized things that happen in our society. And India is especially, instead of becoming more enlightened and woke, I feel, as a society, we're a little bit regressing because nobody is
Yeah.
really trying to tell men this is not the way you can be. I
Yeah.
wish there
There's a
were
lot
harder punishments.
there's a lot we don't know about what actually went down in this case before that car hits the scooter being driven by Anjali. Last comments from Akshay and Richa. Akshay, go ahead. Akshay, you have raised a lot of questions for the BJP. Is there something the Aam Aadmi Party would like to do, is thinking of doing at your level to make this city, the national capital, safer for women?
Barkha, I think there is a time and place for talking about what we have done in the past. I don't think this is that time. We've already talked about these things, whether it's streetlights, CCTV, etc., during election campaigns. But I don't think this is the time to talk about those things. What I do think is I absolutely agree with both Zainab and Elsa that we need to make it okay and normal for women to be able to step out whenever they please. This is as much a woman's country as it is a man's country. They have equal and as much right to enjoy public spaces as men do. And as Aam Aadmi Party, that is the culture that we want to promote in Delhi, and we will do whatever we can to bring justice for Anjali Singh. We'll use our state resources. We do have prosecution under us as the Aam Aadmi Party. So when it comes to fighting the case of the defense or the state prosecution in this case, we'll ensure that the best legal representation is provided to Anjali Singh's family. We've also provided 10 lakh rupees in compensation to the family, and we'll try to provide a job to the victim's family. We'll try to do whatever we can. We can't bring back the someone who's passed away, but whatever we can do to support the family, we will do as the city government. And like I said, it's tragic that women are still getting the message that this is not a city for them. I can only hang my head in shame.
Richa, is there something that you would like to see the Home Ministry, the police do on an immediate basis?
Definitely, I would like to say that this case should be brought to a justifiable closure. The families, Anjali's family, we all stand with her. And as BJP spokesperson, I can say that everybody in BJP is with her. And either at the Delhi level or at the national level, we all are feeling the pain of that family. We are wanting that justice should be brought. And when you open the debate, heads should roll. And justice cannot be just brought by giving compensations of 10 lakh rupees. Justice will be brought when those people are brought to justice. We will have to use the fast track courts also, and we'll have to ensure that the dialogue continues. And one more thing I would like to say, that we would never like the whispers which we were discussing about the society, what they are saying about the girl. We don't care about those things. First, a life has been lost.
Absolutely.
A human life has been lost. It could have been a man also. So it is, right now we are talking about a human life, and added to that, it's a girl's life.
Yeah, and it could well be, Richa, that she was targeted for being a girl, and that is the point that I'm making. Also, as Elsa reminds us, today's news talks about how on board a flight there was an elderly woman, and a drunk man midair urinated on that woman midair. So from 20 to 76, which I think was the age of the woman as I read it. The space of women is violated in so many different ways, and that is really what this is about. It's a horrific account, and I really do hope that heads do roll, and that next New Year's I'm not having the same show, because literally I've lost count of the number of years I've now been literally presenting the same issue on the headlines. Thank you, Akshay, Richa, to Mr. Jain earlier, Elsa and Zainab, and thank you to our audience. See you tomorrow, same time. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.